Hello, I'm Chandu Nair, handling the course on marketing management. It's time for us to look at certain contemporary issues in marketing. And one of the hot topics today is the area of non-profit marketing, social marketing, all kinds of words are being used, but let's stick with non-profit marketing. So let's go on and figure out what exactly are we going to see in this chapter. We're going to understand the growing importance of social marketing and non-profit marketing and try to see what are the differences between the two, social marketing and non-profit marketing. How do we classify this kind of marketing, and how do we look at the targeting and segmentation process for a non-profit or social marketing and the different approaches towards non-profit marketing. Now, one of the things we must look at is this is slightly different from your routine marketing of products and services, and therefore one needs to understand what could be the conditions for adoption, especially of such an approach. One is the force, which is what is the intensity of the motivation of the target group towards a particular goal. Now, that can be a consequence of the predispositions that a person has towards a kind of message and also on the context of the message. We have seen this similar situation when we looked at the communication process, and we've seen who is the sender, what's the message, who's the receiver, and what's the overall context. The second thing is the direction, which is the knowledge of how and where to respond positively to a campaign's objectives. We'll understand this a little bit more as we get into the chapter and look at specific examples that will help us understand these kind of little more difficult words more easier. The third thing is the mechanism, which is, are there agencies or other kinds of systems which helps me as an individual to translate my motivation into action. Example, I want to stop smoking, or I want to give up drinking alcohol. Is there an organization which helps me in de-addiction, which helps me manage this process? If there isn't, it's more difficult for me to do that. The third thing is the adequacy and compatibility, that is the ability and effectiveness of the institution in question in performing the task. Now, suppose I were to want to give up alcohol, and if the man in charge itself is drinking alcohol, or there is enough evidence that something is happening over there, your confidence in that institution might be considerably lower. And finally, it is the issue of distance, which is how much energy, time, cost does one need to expend in order to achieve one's motivation to change that attitude or behavior. More that it is required, the more challenging it is going to be for you to achieve your objective. Example, you think you are unhealthy because you are overweight, but everybody is charging you so many thousand rupees per loss of 1 kilo of weight, may make you feel, is it worth losing that weight, because you don't have that kind of money. So you get the general idea. There are various examples. So I said, all that talk that we had in the previous slide. Let's see and look at the examples. One of the things is several efforts to stop smoking by the government, by agencies. The government has said you cannot have advertising for cigarettes, and we haven't seen that. On the packs of the cigarettes you see all kinds of disturbing images, and it says that it is dangerous to smoke and so on and so forth. So you have those messages too. Then you have things like Alcoholics Anonymous, drug de-addiction agencies, because these are all dangerous problems to have, and there are agencies created for it. You also have things like stopping child abuse or spousal abuse. And then you also have campaigns you've seen, people asking you to go out there and vote. Today there is big hangama or hullabaloo about corruption. So people coming out on the streets and talking about India against corruption and anti-corruption drives and so on and so forth. Pollution control, use of plastics, stopping the use of plastics in certain areas or certain kinds of plastics. So there are so many types of instances today that we can see all around us. As we have seen, marketing has kept changing along with the times, and today, right from the chapter 1, we have talked about the societal marketing concept. So it's important for marketing organizations and organizations which use marketing to understand that we have to look at sustainable ways or more societally oriented ways to our marketing programs. So, if you broadly were to look at social marketing, non-profit organization marketing, it all comes under non-business oriented. As we have seen, the objective of any business is to make money out of its products and services. Here too, it might be that some of the social marketing objectives might subtly help an organization, but maybe not directly. For example, a large manufacturer of soap may have a social marketing program of improving, hand hygiene, that cleaning your hands helps remove infections, might be the social marketing program. It might help that particular organization, but maybe many times there is no direct correlation. There have been some allegations leveled in certain places about organizations seeking to use the cover of social marketing to actually market their products, and there have been complaints about this. But broadly, this is non-business marketing. So let us take a look at the definition. What are we trying to do in social marketing? We are actually using marketing approaches, but with a different objective. The objective being to spread socially beneficial ideas or behaviors. So two things: idea, which can be of attitude, opinion, belief, faith, whatever, or behavior, which is how you actually act, react, respond to various things. So here it is a strategy to change the behavior of a larger number of stakeholders. We are trying to combine the best elements of the traditional approaches to social change using an integrated planning and action oriented approach from marketing. So this is the real intent behind something like social marketing, trying to use marketing oriented skills, approaches, strategies for a socially beneficial cause. So if you look at it, there are various things out here. The social product really consists of the idea, which is what's there in your head, the practice, which is how you act it out, how you behave, and sometimes in some cases there could be a tangible product, in some form as evidence of it. Example, if you are, one of the ways by which somebody tries to prevent AIDS is by encouraging the use of condoms. So you might have a specific product like that. So if you look at the idea, there are various things here, which is what are your beliefs in certain things, more deeply what is your attitude, and even more deeply what are your values. Now sometimes it is very difficult for you to understand until an occasion comes as to what is your belief, what is your attitude, what is your values. Values, as we know, are more deepest of all, probably the deepest thing. For example, honesty is a value, right? Now that is what you think you have, but when actually the situation comes, are you not unwilling, are you okay with giving a little bribe to get your driving license fast? That really tests how strong your value of honesty is, or the truth. You want people who speak the truth. Many of us really say that, but how many of us really practice it? So it is important to understand where exactly does one have those kinds of values, what our attitudes to various things are. For example, our attitude, say, if you are men to women, our attitude, say, if you are fair skinned to those who are dark skinned. So those are important things for us to understand. And then there could be beliefs. For example, you believe in ghosts or spirits. Okay, so all these are different at different levels of ideas. So one must try to understand what is one trying to change. The second thing is, can change somebody to act. For example, I might agree that it is important for me to be healthy and therefore to eat healthy. But when I actually see some very nice pakoda or a bonda or a nice juicy burger, I know that it is not that healthy, but I still feel like eating it. So I might believe in one thing, but I may act quite differently. So that is what I am trying to get at here. So how do you act, and therefore what is the pattern of behavior that you exhibit? And like I already talked about, the tangible product.